Hello, everyone. Thank you for taking some time and joining the office hours. This will be the last office hours of this term for 1620. This is undoubtedly and always the most popular office hours because everyone wants to hear what's going on for the final exam. So I'm certainly going to cover that. I'm going to cover a couple other things related to the course as well. I am open to questions at any time. You may want to wait till I get done my little spiel here because I'll cover a lot of stuff off. But if you want to throw a question up in the chat or do it by audio/audio video, I'm good with that as well. I will also be speaking to the people that are not here that will watch this later on. So just I won't be necessarily addressing my comments to just the people that are here. Okay. So a couple things. You should have, if you chose to write online, you should have yesterday got an instruction from Online at Trent, and that instruction is going to show you what you need to do in order to schedule your exam. Okay. If you don't already have an Examity account, you're going to have to sign up for one. There's step-by-step instructions. Remember that you're competing for time slots, meaning that there's a 24-hour period that Examity will allow you to schedule the exam, starting when the exam actually starts in person and for the next 24 hours. So my advice to you would be to schedule the time that's best for you early on. If you do not schedule that exam, and this happens every single year, if you do not schedule the exam, then you won't have a slot to write the exam and you will not write the exam. It's quite simple. You are responsible to respond, do the things that are required to do in order to schedule your exam. I want to caution everyone that if you are writing online, you need to have a backup plan for your internet, whether that's data on your phone that you can connect to or another location you can go to quickly. I don't have any way of remedying a lack of internet connection. That is your responsibility, okay? Examity, if you run into troubles while you're writing in Examity for whatever reason, maybe the proctor doesn't show up on time or whatever, please write to Online at Trent. They're the ones that can remedy it. Please copy me on that correspondence just so I know what's going on. But if you send me an email and it's, I don't know, maybe you're writing at 1 a.m, my time, you're not going to get a response. If you're writing at 1 a.m, and I believe there's extended hours for Trent Online to solve these problems, but document them in any case and send an email if you run into problems, okay? But I get it, it's a high pressure situation if something goes wrong with your exam, but we will resolve it. We can get through almost any problems, but I cannot help you with a lack of internet connection, okay? So I had several students from this course send me an email about how their internet connection went down in their residence. I did an investigation, no such thing happened, according to all the records that were available. I'm not doing that investigation. You need to have a backup plan for your internet, please. Location. So let's take a step back. I've talked about location. I recognize more people are going to watch this video than any other video. If you did not respond between March 3rd and the 18th to Online at Trent and choose a location, you are scheduled in Peterborough. I am still getting, and I will continue to get email from students asking, saying, I forgot to do it, whatever, my life sucks and I didn't get around to it, whatever. I'm not changing anything. I am not here to facilitate people that do not follow through with their responsibilities. However, I always recommend to students that they try Online at Trent, and if those people are willing to facilitate you, that's fine. If they're not, see you in Peterborough, okay? That's just, we all have responsibilities. We're all adults in this room, and It's not up to me to have to chase after and fix people's gaps in their responsibilities in doing what they're supposed to do. There's just too many students. This course has, I don't know, 250 students or something like that. I don't have time or interest in hand-holding for people that won't do what they're supposed to do. So the next subject is term papers. I've released the marks just in the last hour or so. Please review those marks. If there's an issue with the marks, please do reach out to me. But before you do that, review the feedback. Review the feedback and try and see if that feedback makes sense to you. I am certainly not going to be remarking 250 papers. I am, however, open to looking at papers if you really think that there's a problem. And it's not, the email you don't want to send me or any other professor is, I worked very hard on this and my mark's not good enough. We don't mark effort, we mark the paper that you hand in. So please, we've given you all sorts of feedback and there's multiple markers that have marked this, so it's not necessarily me. Please review the feedback. Use it to learn, look at what you handed in and try and look at it from the perspective of the marker. I think you'll find that we mark fairly. We don't look at names particularly. We don't care. We mark way too many papers to care which student wrote it. So we have an unbiased opinion and we try to do it right. Having said that, we make mistakes occasionally. So I am certainly open to looking at the occasional paper, but if your whole premise is that you think you worked really hard and you didn't get the mark you thought you deserved, that's not how the real world works. So it's the product you handed in, and we will have made comments on what we think of that product and why perhaps you didn't get the score that you were expecting to get. Okay. There's some people that didn't hand in a term paper. The syllabus clearly says after 7 days, I'm not accepting them. So you're welcome to submit them, but it's a 0. And I will not reconsider that unless you have some very incredible and supported medical reason or something similar. Okay. So any questions? I've covered just about everything but the content of the final at this point. Does anyone have any questions that they want to ask about anything I've covered or anything else besides what's going to be on the final? And I see that that your thing highlighted, but your mic's not on. I'm not sure if you were trying to say something or not.
Sorry, no, I just unmuted accidentally.
Okay, yep, no worries. Can we maybe have a mock for the MCPS, multiple choice? I'm not sure what you're saying, Tareem. Yeah, multiple choice questions. Yep, thanks. Yes, I'm certainly going to do that. You will have a practice exam in the for the multiple choice specifically. The multiple choice comes from the same pool as your quizzes that you've done all along. So those of you that have been doing quizzes regularly may recognize some of the questions, both on the practice and on the final. That's great. What I do not do is release the answers to the multiple choice in the quizzes or on the final, or sorry, on the practice for the final. My point in that is because I'm not looking for students to memorize questions, I'm looking for students to study and understand the content. So, sorry, just seeing some questions come in here and I'm just distracted by them a bit. So yeah, my recommendation, and I think I probably covered this last week, is that you do your studying and you work your way through all the chapters. And then towards the end of your studying, as you're wrapping up your studying, do the multiple choice as a practice and just maybe time yourself, see how long it takes you to get through it. Do it without referring to anything because you're not going to have anything to refer to in the final, right? This is not going to be an open book like the midterm. so it will be closed book. You want to get an idea to pace it, and we'll talk about how many marks and what sort of pace you should maintain in a second. And it'll be probably about 50 questions that I'll put up. And historically, about half the students, or maybe a little less than half the students, even attempt it. But if your idea is to study by practicing that multiple choice, that's a really poor way to approach it. I can tell you that from lots of experience. The students that come back to me at the end and say that the final exam is too long are the ones that didn't properly prepare for it. And often it's multiple choice that trips them up. So will there be an announcement for when the practice exam is posted? Yeah, I'll certainly announce that. It'll be in the announcements section there. I will probably post that. We've got one more week of class, one more quiz to go. I don't think there's much else other than that this week coming. Sorry, I'm just going to check that. Yeah, we've got chapter 10 and a chapter 10 quiz, nothing else this week. At the end or towards the end of the week is when I will post that, and I'll give you lots of time because most people, the vast majority, are writing this. I'm not sure which exact date, in the 20s in any case. Bear with me. Just to make sure, Sunday, April 24th at 7 p.m. That's when we're scheduled. If your location's Peterborough, if you chose Peterborough, you're in the gym. If you didn't make a choice, you're in Peterborough in the gym. Otherwise, you have the choice of Durham in DRA 115. That's where you'll find me. I'll be invigilating there. Or online, like I said, starting at 7 p.m. on the 24th, going till 7 p.m. or 6:59 on the 25th. Okay. The exam is 3 hours long. For people writing in person in Peterborough, do all we need to bring is a pencil and eraser? No. So you're going to want to do more than that. You're going to want your ID. First of all, we are going to walk up and down the aisles collecting ID and having you sign in. So ideally student ID, but any photo ID works, preferably like a driver's license or an official government ID. You do want a pencil and eraser for sure, because you're going to be using the Scantrons for the multiple choice, those little papers that you've used all the way through school that have, A through E, and there'll be the 100 questions available there. Make sure you take the time to fill that out properly. I'm always sort of really explicit about that, but I won't be in Peterborough. Do not only fill out your student number using the Scantron, but write it there for us, because there's an excellent chance that at least a couple people in the class will write down their wrong student number. So write your name on the Scantron form so that we can trace it back to you. Also on your exam, I would highly recommend, because you'll be doing written answers, that you write your name on your actual exam booklet, and maybe at least your initials on every single page. Okay, so take the time to do that. 24th to the 25th online. Yeah, thank you. I remember choosing the location of the exam, and I got a confirmation email, but I can't seem to find it. How do I know where I'm writing the exam? So if you chose the exam, I would reach out to online at Trent and ask them. Now, the other way is in another couple of weeks, I'm going to get a list from them telling me how many people are coming to Peterborough, how many people are coming to Durham, and how many people are writing online. So if you're not too excited about it, you can wait a couple of weeks and then send me an email, and I'll tell you where I have you listed. Again, I would recommend going to online in case you've made a mistake or not submitted, though it sounds like you did submit. But if you send an email to online@trentu.ca, that would be best. Just ask for anyone doing the exam online, will we be able to choose a date online? I'm just asking because yesterday I got an email stating that I need to book a date and time to write the exam by April 8th. Yes, you need to make that choice by April 8th, but your choice is going to be the 24th from 7 p.m. till the 25th at 7 p.m. essentially. So it's going to be a 24-hour period starting at when the exam is actually scheduled for, and that's what you'll be able to choose your slot within there. Okay. I'm just taking a pause here, making sure that anyone else that has questions has a chance to throw them in there. Moving on to the exam itself. And I'm just, I booked my exam online, but I'm moving during the week of the exam. Is there any way I can switch to writing it at Durham? Not really. You can, like I said, you can reach out to online at Trent if they're willing to change it. I'll see you in Durham. I'm not changing it for anyone. You guys just have to understand there's 250 students in this class, there's 300 in another, and there's 175 in another. And I just can't, I just get overwhelmed in trying to take care of people. So it is your responsibility to book it. Exams trump everything as far as the school is concerned. So yeah, if you're locked in there, and if online at Trent won't move you, then you'll have to do it online, and that's just the long and the short of it. And moving or vacationing or anything else is not considered an acceptable excuse to the university. So are the short answer questions on the exam similar to the midterm ones? Yeah, and wait, okay, yeah, thanks, Taylor. Jumping the gun, but yeah, the answer is yes, and I'll go into more detail in a couple minutes here. The final will be similar to the midterm. So, okay, let's talk about the final. I am getting there, and I just want to pull up, sorry, I'm just pulling up my syllabus. So in the syllabus, you will see that the final exam is worth 35%. It's scheduled in the examination period. We now know that it's the 24th of April at 7 p.m. It covers chapters 1 through 10. Okay. Now, here's the caveat on that. It does definitely cover chapters 1 through 10, but it's going to be heavily weighted for the chapters 6 through 10. There's going to be concepts that you need to know from chapters 1 through 5 in order to answer things from later. So I would not start my studying in chapter 6, but that's your choice. The reason that it isn't heavily weighted for the first one is obviously we already tested that in the midterm. So there will not be much content. I would estimate 10 to 15% of the marks would potentially come from the first half of the year. So chapters 1 through 5. There's going to be 100 multiple choice or multiple answer or true false. They're generally multiple choice. I think you guys have seen that. They're almost all going to be multiple choice. And there are 8 short answer questions. The exam lasts for 180 minutes. The multiple choice questions are going to be 1 mark each. So that's 100 marks. The 8 short answer questions are going to be 10 marks each. So that's 80 marks. So those of you that are good at math will notice that it is 1 mark per minute. So that's important in that you should be able to pace yourself. I find in talking to students afterwards, having done this for many years and many courses, the people that spend more than the 100 minutes on the multiple choice are the ones that struggle to make it through. A minute per multiple choice question is more than generous. You should be able to make up time on that section. So maybe it only takes you an hour or 60 minutes to get through those 100. And I don't think that's unreasonable either. There's going to, if you're well practiced and have studied, you're going to know a bunch of those answers. My approach is always to start at the beginning, work your way through, and skip anything that I don't know, leaving myself a note to come back to it. I try and get as many marks as fast as I can, and then leave the more tricky or puzzling or difficult parts till the end. Get that massive marks behind you so that you don't, like, the worst thing you can do is to get stuck on a single question, burn a whole bunch of time, and miss out answering things that are really easy to you and therefore not get credit for them, right? Students always ask if they're writing online, if they're going to be able to see all the questions at once. My answer to that is always yes. You will be able to go back and forth. I'm not one of the professors, and I don't know why they do what they do, that give you one question at a time. I would rather give you the entire exam. You can start at the bottom and work your way up if that's what you want to do. You can jump around as things suit you. You can, when you're answering one question, you may think of something better for the one that you already tried to answer, so you can jump around. So there's no, and obviously if you're writing on paper, you can turn your pages any way you wish to do, okay? So zooming in on those 8 short answer questions, they're worth 10 marks each. I encourage people to use point form. If you're a person that answers questions, you're most comfortable answering questions by writing out in paragraphs and long form, that's fine. Go ahead and do that. I think it's a waste of time. You're obviously writing more than you need to. Please do not give me a wall of text. If you're writing in paragraphs, use paragraphs. So space it out, make it easier for the people that are marking to find the marks that in your comments. If we're faced with a wall of text, our eyes glaze over and it's harder to find marks for you. Okay, that's just reality. It's not something we're consciously doing, but it's reality. It's hard faced with a wall of text. So please consider at least using point form. In most cases, 5 solid points are going to work for your 10 marks. It's going to be 2 marks per answer. The exceptions to that is when you are asked to list 6 items, or you're asked to comment on 4 items. Obviously, if the question dictates that 5 points is not right, then then do what the question asks. If it says list, just list. If it says list and explain, then do your list and then provide an explanation for each member on that list. Okay. If you decide to use the shotgun approach and give me 8 points, we will look at the first 5 points that you provide to mark, or if it's relevant that we need to go further, you will have deductions for marks you'll have deduction of marks for points that are invalid. So if you put several things down and you're just trying to get the right answer by putting all sorts of information down, some of which isn't right, you're not going to get full marks for that answer. There are no penalties for guessing on the multiple choice. So please don't leave any of those blank. If you get to the end of your exam and you've got 10 minutes left and you've got 10 or 20 multiple choice that you haven't answered, please just randomly fill those in. Okay, please do. Get as many questions by chance, or as many marks by chance as you can as well. Is there anything that anyone needs me to cover? I think I've said just about everything. I guess the one other thing is, yes, it's going to be similar to the midterm. The big exceptions are it's going to be half again as long, so there's going to be that many more questions, and you're obviously not going to have, it's not open book. So whatever you bring in your head into the exam is what you're going to be able to use, right? So for each short question, we should only ever list 5 points. Yes, unless the question specifically asks you for 6 or 3 or some other number, 5 points is fine. You'll get full marks if you put 5 valid points with good explanations in answer to the question. I mean, you're welcome to do more if you find, I never understand people leaving after an hour and a half in the exam. I would rather read through and make sure that I did what I thought I did and answer the questions to the best of my ability. But I mean, that's a personal choice. You can leave when you want. In person, you guys have all been through, I presume you've all been through one round of exams. So typically, after an hour, the doors to the exam are locked. So figuratively speaking, if you show up an hour and 5 minutes after the start of the exam, you will not be allowed to write that exam. If you show up 55 minutes after the start, you will, but your time will end just like anyone else's. So yeah. The other thing is, and I always forget, I always have to read it when I'm invigilating. For the last 10 or 15 minutes of the exam, you're asked not to leave the room. So you've got people that are in full-on meltdown mode, trying to get as much stuff down. They've only got 15 minutes left. Just sit quietly out of respect for your peers, and don't disturb them by getting up in the last 15 minutes. So that's probably every invigilator is going to go over the rules, and you guys probably know them better than I do. You write a lot more exams than I invigilate. So, but yeah, those are the general rules. No one should leave the room before an hour has gone by either. So how do people usually do on the final? That's an excellent question. So I would say that in general, in this course, the finals would average around 70%, something like that. And I think that that's usually due to an overconfidence going in with really good marks. A lot of you have really, really good marks going in. You've done well in the term paper. The quizzes are no big problem. And the midterm went really well as a class. So the problem is that the game changes without having the open book. So you're in a proctored exam with no open book. So it's a different beast. I would encourage you to, when you're studying, to try and understand the themes of the course, and a lot of them are kind of spelled out for you if you pay attention. So you'll be tested on the themes of the course, and when you come to each chapter, there's always these learning outcomes. And I think I probably have them in my course content. I talk about what the outcomes are. If not, they're definitely in the textbook. So look at those chapter course outcomes and make sure you can answer them chapter by chapter. Those make really good short answer questions, and they really demonstrate who knows and who does not know the content. I'm always surprised when I look at some of the exams, how poorly some people do, how good their marks are coming in, and how poorly they do on the final. So it definitely happens all the time. And what it demonstrates to me is that people haven't prepared for it, and they actually don't understand the content. They've been good at Googling answers or flipping through the text. Take the time to do some proper studying and make sure you understand the content of the course. Okay. Typically, in the course itself, after everything's put together, there's probably 20% of the students that'll get over 80%, another 10 or 15 that are 70 and above, a mix that are from 70 to passing, and 15 or so percent that do not pass the course. Most of those people that do not pass the course are not surprised because they haven't submitted half the stuff. There's some people that have submitted nothing, and they obviously don't. They obviously do not pass either. So there is a real opportunity. And I said this at the very beginning of this course, to get a very good mark to pad your average in this course, but you have to do a bit of work, and just keep your foot on the gas for the last couple weeks, because the final exam is worth 35%, and you need to do well in that to get a truly excellent mark. Any other questions? Okay, folks. Well, I do thank all of you for coming. It's nice to have a good-sized group. Thank you for the questions. In the short answer questions, are grammar and spelling checked? Absolutely not. And could that lead to marks addition or deduction? Absolutely not. As long as we can understand what you're trying to say, I can't hold anyone accountable to their spelling under that pressure. Having said that, if I can't understand or the marker can't understand, if it's spelled so badly that they can't understand it, then obviously we can't assess what we can't read. But and that also speaks to handwriting, right? So if we just can't, if you're a future doctor and it's just a chicken scratch scrawl, we're going to have a real hard time giving you marks for that. We do the best we can, but you know, that's sort of the shortcoming there. But no, the other thing that I haven't mentioned is that there is no need to cite or reference. If you can memorize passages from the textbook and you want to spew those out word for word, good for you. You do not need to cite or reference anything on the final exam. There's no expectation that you do that. Will the practice cover all the chapters? Yes, in the practice multiple choice questions will cover all the chapters. They will also be in the same proportion as I expect the final to be. Obviously, the paper final are fixed questions, but if you're writing online, it's a random exam for each person. So yeah, it'll draw from the pool, and your exam won't be the same as any other students, or won't necessarily be the same as any other students. In the in-person, obviously it's a printed one. I can't randomize questions very well. Sometimes I do multiple versions of the same exam to be distributed, in which case it will be very clearly said what version, and you'll have to mark that on the whatever those sheets are, the Scantron sheets. You'll have to mark version A, B, or C, because obviously the answers won't be in the same, they won't follow the same between two different versions. I'm not saying that I will do that, but if I do it, it'll be in big, bold type to make sure that you put the version down, and I'll make sure that the invigilators say that to you as well. Are the questions we have done in the quiz is going to be similar to the ones on the exams? Yes, as I said before, it's from the same pool. You may see the exact same question. You probably will. If you've done all the chapter quizzes and you do the practice one, you will have seen, a massive number of questions. Some of them are going to be familiar.
Oh, sir, for the practice exam, can you do it multiple times, or you'll only be able to do it once?
Just once. Again, for the same principle, I don't want people just memorizing questions and answers. It's more a tool for you to test to make sure that you've done the amount of studying that you need to do. But a good question. About the short answer questions, are they separated at the end, or could they be mixed up? So they'll be at the end. The way the exam will look is it'll be your 100 multiple choice questions, and then flip to the end and you'll have your 8 short answers, so that they're not kind of mixed in between. I like to keep them separate so that you can make a conscious choice as to how you want to write the exam. Some people like to start with the written and go to the multiple choice. I would say the majority of people start at the beginning, which is multiple choice, and work their way through, but whatever floats your boat, whatever is best for you. Excellent. Okay. If you don't have questions, if you're comfortable, and you may want to refer to this video again, I will post it. Sorry, I'll get you in just 1 second, Taylor. If you're good, feel free to get on with your day. I'm going to answer Taylor's question and anyone else's question that sticks around. So if for some reason there's a short answer question, we know knowing about it better to leave blank than guess. No, I would make a guess. There's nothing wrong. Even if you put something ridiculous down, I get students telling me jokes or telling me what a good or bad person I am. Not usually bad because I'm marking their exam. Some students have a really good sense of humor. There's no deductions of marks. That's right. When I was talking about mark deductions, what I was saying is if you put 7 points down and I'm marking 5 and the first 2 are wrong, I'm not going to skip your wrong ones to give you credit for your right ones. Okay, Taylor? But there's no shame in taking the best guess that you can. Sometimes we get a real chuckle out of the answers that people put down, whether it's intentional or not. So, all right. Any other questions? Please fire away. I'm here for a while, but feel free to get on with your Saturday. Have a good weekend to you guys as well. Thank you. I'm glad to hear that, Tareem. We do the office hours to try and help people through the course. I understand it's not the same as having a prof in front of you once a week, but that is the purpose. We're trying to keep the contact and keep things moving and keep people comfortable, give them, online's not ideal. This course is an online course. There's a majority online course for a long time, but I appreciate that the office hours helped you. Thank you very much.
Hello, sir.
Hi there. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm good, thanks.
I joined the bill a little bit late. I don't know if you already talked about this, but in terms of the final exam, so I have it proctored online.
Mm-hmm.
Are we allowed to open any resources at all, like our book or anything, or is it
No, it'll
only
be
the exam?
it'll be just the exam. Yeah.
Okay.
I posted a video. If I don't know if you've done an Examity before, but I did post a video about Examity in the announcements that may be helpful so that you get an idea of what to expect. But you need a camera and a microphone. And it's my understanding that they will have you take your camera and show the rest of the room, sort of thing, and show your desk and that sort
Yeah.
of thing. But yeah.
Yeah, it's only because like in the midterm, I remember you told us like the long answer questions, like the short answer questions.
Mhm.
Like you could have like a research plan, not like you could like type of like pull up information if you wanted to.
Yep.
So I wanted to know in terms of the final if we could do that too.
Yeah, so the midterm was an open book, and my caution there was always to make sure you paraphrased in your own words, not copied and pasted. But the final is completely a closed book.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you. Have a great weekend.
Yeah, you as well. About the online proctored, how long does one have to switch the connections up? I don't know the answer to that, actually. I know that the exam will allow you to resume. So you can stop and then resume. I don't know about Examity. That's probably a really good question to ask online at Trent. So yeah, I would ask them, and if you feel that you can share that back to me, I will post that answer for everyone to know, and it'll build my knowledge for Examity as well. So sorry, I don't know. Yeah, that bad experience. Yeah. We had last term was not good with Examity, and I know that the department and probably the entire school met with Examity and went over the shortcomings. So we used to use a different service, and I never had a problem with them at all. I'm expecting that Examity is going to be a whole lot better this term than it was last term. So, but again, if you have problems reach out to online at Trent and copy me. I won't be able to do anything for you, but at least I can be witness to what's going on. I won't be able to do anything at the time for you. Let me be specific there. Last term, I had to accommodate some students into this term because they simply couldn't get a proctor to sit down with them. So I don't think that's going to be a problem, but you're certainly best to schedule as soon as you can. Thank you. Thanks very much. Have a great weekend. Thank you very much.